address that has been activated. So let's now go over to Minister
Good afternoon,
Sando.
ladies and gentlemen of the press. It is good to be back here in the Charles William Conference Hall here at the Ministry of Information, Cultural Affairs and Tourism. We are humbled to act on behalf of the government in the absence of the minister who is on the president's official delegation to attend the forum on China-Africa cooperation in the People's Republic of China. We also want to commend the Public Affairs Department for the work they continue to do to keep these platforms very interactive, ensuring that officials of government from various ministries and agencies can continue to come here and use this place in furtherance to the one government, one communication agenda. I'd like to recognize the IT Minister, Mr. Johnny S. Tapa, who has just joined us. He was accompanied by Mr. Chokonta, the Director of the Liberia News Agency. Today we have as our guest, no other but a distinguished Liberian scientist, Dr. Dubai Krishnan. He's come to speak to issues of national concern as far as the National Public Health Institute is concerned. He will make the proper introduction of members of the delegation he mounts the podium. But before I invite Dr. Dubai to the podium, I will seize the moment to make the following remarks on behalf of the government of Liberia. A lot of things have happened. A couple of issues have caught the attention of the ministry, and thus the following remarks. The government of Liberia categorically refutes claims by Senator Thomas Gaya Nimlin that the establishment of the War and Economic Crimes Court is a recipe for chaos, and that such move will derail the peace and stability of the country. The government is aligned over the statement attributed to the senator from Grand County, who himself was at some point in time the head of one of the many warring factions we have in the country. It is reported that Senator Nimlin told a gathering of peace activists last week at a peace symposium organized in commemoration of the 21st anniversary of the signing of the Comprehensive Peace Accord. He said that the establishment of the War and Economic Crimes Court is a recipe for chaos. According to him, the War and Economic Crimes Court will destabilize the country and destabilize the peace and stability of the country. He went on to say that the establishment of the court is a breach of the spirit and intent of the Comprehensive Peace Accord. The senator went on to add that the setting up of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission meant that we waived our right to prosecute war crimes that were committed during the 40 years of bloodbath that Liberia experienced. Now, as a government, we elect to categorically disagree with Senator Nimble and reject in the strongest term just the idea that he believes that the pursuit of the establishment of the War and Economic Crime Court will derail and destabilize the country. There was no choice for Liberians between the pursuit of criminal prosecution, the payment of reparation, or the establishment of the War Crime Court or the Children Reconciliation Commission. These measures were all born out of the Comprehensive Peace Accord, and they must be taken seriously. If there has been, in all these years,
actually define sexually transmitted diseases. When one is infected with monkeypox virus, it takes between about 2 to 14 to 22 days to come down with the actual disease manifestations. It starts with fever, muscle aches, headache, lymph node swelling, and of course, as the disease progresses in the infected individual or individuals, you begin to see outward signs of the infection, which are characterized by what in medicine we call vesicular papules, or simply rashes or bumps, if I can put it simply in our Liberian palates. And those bumps are filled with some fluid, some liquid that we call pus, simply. Those bumps are larger. If you want to compare that with other pox diseases, it's larger than what you have with the smallpox and chickenpox. And those rashes, you can find them all over the body, and they are expressed on the extremities, meaning on the hands and the feet. So even if you wore your clothes, it's difficult to hide it. Not only being expressed in the hands, but specifically what we call plantar expression is what we see, meaning that they are in your palm. You see the bumps all in the palms. The ones in the palm is where the virus is highly concentrated. That is why when an infected person sits in a location or sleeps at a particular location on a bed, and you who are not infected, you are much more vulnerable and liable to be infected because that place becomes contaminated. That is where we talked about you not being in contact with those kind of surfaces. The virus itself is treatable. There are medications of different types we call antivirus. Anti meaning against the virus. And also, besides being treatable, the disease itself, which is Mpox, is self-limited. In science and medicine, meaning some people can get sick with the virus. They will not take any tablet, they will not take any injection, none of those antivirus, and they still become cured. But we don't want you to rely on this to stay home in case you find yourselves with these symptoms that we listed earlier. Our different immune or defense systems in our bodies are not the same individually. So one person may have a higher ability to fight back the virus, another person may have a less or limited ability to fight back the virus. The best you can do when that happens, when you see those symptoms, is to report yourself or report any family member to the nearest health clinic, or you can call 4455, which is the hotline that is currently being activated since we have the situation on hand. In terms of prevention, avoid contact with infected persons or persons who you suspect to be infected. You should have very responsible sexual behavior. For you men, and we will say it very clearly, wear your condoms. That's one of the best so far preventive measures, or at best, abstain. Also, there are vaccines available. You're laughing, but it's serious. There are vaccines available, but these vaccines are not in high numbers. This particular disease, Mpox, is so far now all around the world. It is found in the United States, it is found in countries of Europe, it is found on other continents. So that tells you that everybody is fighting to get the vaccine. Given our own economic status, we, to a larger extent, depend on an entity called Gavi, which collects a lot of these vaccines from the manufacturers through the assistance of the very rich countries and some goodwill people, and then divide these vaccines with countries that are unable to get the vaccines. And so, through the WHO, these arrangements have been made to bring some vaccines into the country. Vaccine is one of the most preventable elements or mental or means. Now, yesterday we reported to you the status of the Mpox infection in Liberia. As an entity fiduciarily responsible for public health in this country, it is incumbent upon us to be very open, very transparent, and very bold with you as to the status of what is obtaining. And to the best of our ability, I can vouch that we have been doing that. Currently, or before then, in the past, when I last faced you here, that we had previous 5 cases